right, let's do this. Good evening, everyone. I believe everyone here tonight is a Toastmaster. So welcome, my fellow Toastmasters, to session 10 of the engagement room with our distinguished speaker tonight, Dr. Charmin Gans. This is the second one in 2026, and she's going to be giving us a fantastic presentation about something she's very enthusiastic and feel strongly about. Her title is called Unleash Your Wildprint, and she's got that trademark, so that means something for us. The success code for a wildly rich life. She wants you to discover how to activate your unique wildprint, your personal blueprint for success. In this presentation, a certified Napoleon Hill leader, instructor, president of the Jeffco Challengers Toastmasters Club, and a board certified doctor of chiropractic. She will share us practical tools with us for mastering time, mindset, and purpose. She's going to combine the Napoleon Hill success principles with modern insights, empowering us to break free from limitations and design a life that is purpose driven, prosperous, and wildly rich in every way. And so I will go ahead and pin you, Charmin, and let's welcome our speaker.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm very excited about this topic. Unleash your wildprint. Most people think success is about doing more hours, more effort, more pressure, more caffeine, more productivity hacks, more pretending we're fine while we're quietly wondering how everyone else has the energy to even be a functioning adult. But the highest performers on the planet live very differently. They master their energy and their focus, and they lead with resilience, especially when life gets hard. And it all comes back to who you really are, your wildprint. Your wildprint is your fingerprint purpose. It's encoded in your DNA at birth. It's a specific design, a calling, a potential that only you carry. And learning to activate it, learning to unleash your wildprint, that will change everything in your life. It's the key to living a truly wildly rich life, not just financially, but emotionally, physically, spiritually, and relationally. Imagine having a life that doesn't just look good on Facebook or Instagram, but one that you can't wait to jump out of bed for. One that truly makes you feel alive and energetic. Let me ask you something, and be honest. When you feel sick, do you feel like chasing your dreams? Do you wake up excited to build your business, to pursue your goals, to tackle your to-do list and dominate the day? No. You feel like becoming one with the couch. When you're exhausted, everything is put to the side, with the exception of maybe Netflix and some chips. Energy is not something that's just nice to have. It's the foundation of a meaningful life. Think about it this way. If you owned a brand new exotic sports car, let's say a shiny, beautiful, racing red Ferrari with black leather interior, hand-stitched red stitching around the seats, and a flawless engine, would you pull up to the gas station and say, yeah, fill it up with the cheapest stuff you've got. Just throw in whatever's on sale? Of course not. If you did, a guy named Steve would probably come out, put you in a straitjacket, and lock you up in the insane asylum. Sounds crazy, right? But this happens every day. Brilliant, gifted, incredible people put garbage in the most sophisticated machine ever created, their body. Sometimes I think our Creator looks down at us in a way that we look at somebody pouring Mountain Dew into the Ferrari engine. Like, no, please. I designed you for power, for endurance, for greatness. and you're trying to run on Doritos, Red Bulls, and stress. Do you want me to get straight jacket, Steve? Your body's not just something you live in. It's the engine of everything you'll ever build. And our engine, our real engine, well, that's our nervous system. Your brain, your spinal cord, and all the nerves that go out. That's the electrical system of the entire body. It controls how clearly you think, how fast you recover, how long you live, how well you handle stress, how much energy you have to lead, to love, to create, to serve. When that system is overwhelmed, you don't just feel tired. You diminish who you're created to be. But when you actually have energy, real energy, the possibilities are endless. A wildly rich life starts with a body that actually wants to be alive inside. Picture your life like an hourglass. Every moment's a grain of sand. Emails are sand. Meetings, sand. Errands, sand. Scrolling, sand. Netflix, sand. You want to know what else is sand? Family trips, birthdays, family outings, Toastmaster meetings, date nights, ice cream runs on a random Tuesday. Your health, your purpose. It's the same hourglass, just different values. Yet most people spend their best grains on things that don't matter. And what's left? That's where they put the important things. There was a study done by an Australian caregiver. Her name was Bronnie Ware. She studied people at the end of their lives. They had people who had 12 weeks or less to live. And she asked them, what regrets, if any, do you have about your whole life? And she found that their biggest regrets were, I wish I had the courage to live a life that's true to myself, not just what others expected of me. Or basically, they wish they pursued their dreams without worrying about what others thought. That was the number one thing that people wish they had done at the end of their lives. The second thing is that they wish they hadn't worked so much. The third, I wish I stayed close to the people I loved. And the last is that they wish they let themselves be happier. Notice no one said, I wish I answered more emails. I wish I worked a lot more. I wish I finished that season on Netflix. I wonder what happened. Here's the thing. We can't stop time from flowing. So let's get practical. When the wildly rich plan their lives, they first decide on what's non-negotiable. Weekly family nights, birthdays, family trips, being home for bedtime, maybe unplugged Sundays, date night. And I found that if it's not scheduled, it's just not happening. They put those into the schedule first. Everything else comes in after. That's actually true leadership. And second, they install daily protected time, or what I call a Wildprint hour. One protected hour a day. No scrolling, no errands, no inbox. Use it for your health, your important goals, your relationships, your Wildprint purpose, or for building something truly meaningful. I hear it all the time. An hour? Where would I get an hour? If I had an hour a day, that'd be fantastic. But in reality, the average person wastes 4 to 6 hours. That's 4 to 6 hours a day on Netflix, scrolling on games, or just playing with their phone. And trust me, I've done this too. I thought I'll just check something really quickly. And 2 hours later, I'm watching reels of baby monkey Kiki eating fruit. Where is Straightjacket Steve when you need him? But imagine reclaiming just 1 hour a day. That's 7 hours a week. It's basically a full work day. When I heard this, I thought this was amazing. Can you imagine getting an extra day a week to do whatever you wanted? If you took 1 hour a day for every day of the year, 1 hour that you would have been wasting scrolling, playing games, watching Netflix, you would have 365 hours or 2.5 months of work days. If your boss said, hey, I'll give you an extra 2.5 months to do whatever you want, would you be thrilled or what? A year, 2.5 months. What could you do with 2.5 months? Would you write a book, build a business, complete a course, maybe start a new career, heal your body, have a stronger marriage, have a completely new identity, travel the world? Would you find out what is really important? And before saying yes to anything, ask yourself, is this worth a grain of my life? Because you don't get to refill the glass. Add all those things up, and that's how you live a wildly rich life. But there's another layer to this. I know, you're excited, you can't wait. But this isn't just about productivity and time management, it's also about leadership. Not the kind where you have a nice title or a corner office, the kind where your life becomes a message. Because whether you realize it or not, someone is always watching. Hopefully not in a creepy way. Your kids are watching, your spouse is watching, your team is watching, your friends are watching, your community's watching, your future self is watching. They're watching how you handle stress, how you handle failure, how you talk about your dreams, how you treat your body, how you keep your promises, how you show up even when it's inconvenient. You're teaching people how to live without ever saying a word. You're being an example. And it's your choice whether you're an example of how to live a great life or what not to do. And great leadership, it requires persistence. Not hype, not perfectionism, but discipline. I had a roommate in college and she had this poster that was a bird trying to swallow a frog. And the frog is choking the neck of this bird. And it says, never give up. And I always remember this. I don't know why, it's an absolutely crazy thing, but it just makes me remember to keep trying, just like that frog. And another one of my favorite examples of persistent leadership is Steve Harvey. He has the best story. When he was a kid, a teacher in the class asked the whole class to write down exactly what they wanted to be when they grew up. Now, most of the kids wrote a fireman, a policeman, a construction worker, a nurse, but not him. He was so excited that he brought his up to the teacher. And after they all sat down, the teacher actually asked him to come up front. And he thought she was going to talk about how great his goal was and how amazing it would be to accomplish this. Instead, she brought him up front and said, he wrote, I want to be on TV. Then she laughed and the entire class laughed. She told him that's unrealistic, ridiculous, and told him to write something reasonable. He said he didn't remember what he wrote, but he just wrote something that so she'd leave him alone. But he never stopped dreaming. The dream never left his mind. So for years, he practiced comedy. He wrote jokes. He took the chance and bombed on stage. He slept in his car for a while. He was willing to fail publicly. He got rejected, but he kept going. And eventually, he got to have the life that everybody sees. When he was first on TV, he decided he would send that old teacher a TV for Christmas so she could watch him. And hopefully, never doubt another child's dream. A wildly rich life is building a life where you can actually do what you want, whenever you want, with whomever you want. It's waking up excited for the day and try to escape it. Instead of trying to scroll, instead of trying to be doing something other than what you're doing. It's living a life where you don't want to go back to bed. A life you don't need to vacation from. A few years ago, my mom, who was 80 at the time, she was in the hospital. She was really sick and really weak. She hardly had any energy. When we were there, the machines were beeping, the monitors were flashing, the doctors coming in and out, checking her, doing things, running tests. And in that moment, with everything that she had lived through, everything she'd accomplished, everything she owned, do you know what she wanted? She said, Charmin, I don't care about anything else in the world. I don't even care about stocks. She loved the stock market and did great with it. She said, all I want right now is to just hold your hand. She wanted nothing else, nothing, just to hold my hand, something so simple. And sitting there beside her bed with her tiny little hand in mine, I realized something. At the end of life, nobody wishes they had scrolled more. Nobody wishes they had answered more emails. Nobody wishes they were even busier. They all wish they had loved more. They wish they'd been more present. They wish they'd spent time on what mattered most. The moment with my mom permanently changed me. It changed how I saw time, because suddenly the hourglass wasn't continuous. It actually had an end. It wasn't just a metaphor. And I understood that your life isn't measured in years, but it's measured in moments. And leadership is choosing on purpose what your moments stand for. Life is like an hourglass, sand falling grain by grain. You can't slow it. You can't refill it. And no one knows how much time you have left. And one day, the sand will just stop. So I guess the real question is, what will you do with your grains? Are you willing to trade them for distractions, for games on your phone, for Black Blast, for reels of baby monkey Kiki eating fruit? Oh, she's so cute. Or will you use them to unleash your Wildprint, that fingerprint purpose that only you can achieve? That's why there's only one you. There's never been another you. There isn't now. There never will be. You're the only one that was created because you're so important. You're so important. You make the world better. Are you willing to become who you were born to be? I challenge you. I challenge you to make life matter, to live with no regrets, to protect your energy, to stay focused on what you're trying to achieve, to lead with resilience and never give up, just like that frog, and to make your grains of sand count. That's how you live a wildly rich life. Oh, yeah, and try to stay away from Straitjacket Steve. Thank you.
Let's give our speaker a big round of applause. Thank you so much, Charmin. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So we're going to shift into the Q&A mode. I'm going to remove your pen and we're going to go into a little more interactive speaker mode. Here we go. All righty then. So hello, Warren. Great to see you. Came in. I hope you didn't miss too much. All right then. So who's the first person that would like to ask our speaker a question? Sandra.
I would like to know, Charmin, what was your moment? What pivoted you into leading a more meaningful life?
That is a wonderful question. My moment would have to be when my first daughter, when I was pregnant with her, I was working like crazy trying to get everything done, trading work for everything, and she came early at 28 weeks, which basically makes you push pause on life. She was only 2 pounds, 10 ounces, and she was born basically 73 days early. So I had to stop everything and go to the NICU and reevaluate exactly what's important. And I realized there's nothing important as the relationships that you have and the taking care of your health and taking care of your loved ones. And now she is 12 years old, 5'3", way taller than me, gorgeous, healthy, and very talented. But that would have to be the moment that I said, life has to be more meaningful.
There I go, trying to be mindful about that microphone. Who's our next question? All right, Jackie.
Charmin, thank you for that speech. That was very inspiring. I'm wondering, what do you do to be your best self? How much sleep do you get? What kinds of foods do you eat? Do you follow any particular program?
That's a great question. I found to be my best, I definitely need sleep. The goal is 8 to 10 hours, but if I get 6 or 7, that's pretty good. Drinking half your body weight in water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water is what your body needs. And it helps not only with pain, but every function in your body, even the way your brain works. And I also, well, being a chiropractor, and my husband is too, I get adjusted every week to make sure their nervous system is functioning at 100%, especially with 2 kids and crazy schedules.
Thank
But
you.
I also,
Yeah, you guys are doing everything.
yeah. And also what I found is that when somebody asks, can you do this or do something? Okay, does this align with the goals that I want to do? Because you only have so much time. And I found that sometimes you have to say no, even though that hurts the people pleaser in me.
Thank you. All right, who's our next person? Don't see a hand. Come on, guys, it's the Q&A. She's got some deep stuff here. Patty, you got anything? Or Linda? Yeah, there you go.
How do you determine what's not negotiable?
Oh,
That's a great question, Linda. What I do is decide, okay, family trips, we have to have at least one because you need that week to recover for the whole family to get back on track. Also, at the beginning of the year, I always plan out, here's the things that I want to try to accomplish for the year. That's a non-negotiable. And it's basically time with my family right now since my kids are young. And visiting my mom every weekend, those are all non-negotiables. And it's basically depends on what your goals are and what you're wanting to achieve. But I find a lot of it has to do with our relationships and family.
I
Charmin,
find
go ahead,
I
Linda. You got a delay there. Go ahead.
what's not negotiable for me is things that are going to affect my health. Those
Oh,
things I have to put on my schedule first.
yes, that is very important. Yeah, if you're not healthy, you can't get done any of your goals. You can't have anything. Yeah, that's very much the primary thing you need to work on is health. Yes.
Well, now I'll kind of segue this, Sherman,
Mhm.
because you're hinting at having boundaries.
Yeah.
So what do you think is important of boundaries, and where do you put them to really to work with your wild print?
What I do is find that I have an hour or two in the morning that's when I work on my wild print or my purpose or what I'm trying to achieve. And then anytime after that, then that's where I can fill in all the to-dos and all the other things. But I always try to make sure I have an hour or two a day to work on the things that's going to fulfill me the most, I would say.
I've got a comment from Patty in the
Mhm.
chat. Because she's not feeling too well. She said, "Thanks for sharing. Scheduling a specific time to focus on what is important is really beneficial." And okay, so now you mentioned that the end of the night that there was one direction there, but then you also talked about finding that place. I mean, I'm sure that's for some people that's a chore, because you got to break through old habits and things like that to get to that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. For sure. A lot of us have grown up with limiting beliefs on what we can do and what we can't do. And sometimes your mind is saying, oh, I can achieve all these things. Then it comes to the day and it's easier to grab a bag of chips and watch Netflix. I've done that. It's hard. But once you can imagine yourself being that person who could do it, that's when everything changes, when your identity matches up with your behaviors. Because first you have to believe that you are incapable of being that person who could achieve those goals. And then slowly, little by little, then you become that person that you wanted or imagined in your mind and start achieving the things that you want.
Behavioral change,
Yes.
pretty much. Okay, Leslie, you had your hand up.
Yes, my question is thinking about in human nature, things will go wrong no matter how hard we try to maintain control. The storms of the life, all kinds of storms. What are some of your favorite strategies for getting through those unexpected caca type of things in life?
That is a great question. And I'm still working on some better techniques as well when things don't go well. I find that as things aren't, I guess, going as I imagined in my mind, like my daughter, I had imagined having this beautiful home birth. I even bought this really expensive hose so we wouldn't have lead in the water. I was going to have this beautiful water birth, had this gorgeous tub. I was going to do all these great things. And then at 28 weeks, got at other plans and said, nope, I think this baby's going to come early and just mess you all up so you know that you're really not totally in control. You can plan, but sometimes the universe has a way of doing what it needs to do so you can learn a lesson. And I think there was a big lesson in that as to realize what's really important. Overworking and having money, working for money, or working so you can do the things that you want with your family, with the people that you want. I think there's a lesson, finding the lesson in all of the trials. That's the big why, I guess, of why you have it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Jackie, you had another question?
I did. Charmin, as a chiropractor, you talk to patients all day long. Why would you join Toastmasters if you have all of that public speaking practice? And how does Toastmasters fit into your Wildprint?
Now that is quite the question. I love chiropractic. I think everybody should have a healthy nervous system so they can live optimally. And I used to do a lot of talks in the office as well. So when I originally joined Toastmasters, I thought it was for that reason. And then I went to a seminar with Tony Robbins, and I realized that I actually have this drive to reach even more people. I'll always have a practice, but I wanted to reach more. And I remembered being 10 years old and wanting to be a speaker. I even cleared everything out in this garage in 100-degree weather with like those striped printed papers. That was my paper. That was going to be my gorgeous speech that I was going to read to the neighborhood kids who all came. And I remembered that's what I wanted to do. The only problem was I'm absolutely terrified to stand in front of people and be exposed. So I knew Toastmasters was a solution. And through many scared meetings, hoping they wouldn't call on me for table topics or to even look at me or say hi, I was so nervous with my hands dripping of sweat. I knew that on the other end of it, after I developed more speaking skills, I could actually fulfill my Wildprint and reach more people. So my goal is actually to put things out there so when my children are older, they can have resources as well if they have other questions. Since we waited till we're almost 40 to have kids, I might not be around as long as I think. And who knows? You never know how long you'll be. But I'm hoping to have a resource out there so the next generation, it doesn't take them 30 years of learning personal development to have all these answers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll have what you're having if I can look like you.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Of course, too, you have accomplished a lot. I mean, you think about last year whenever you were endeavoring in the international speech contest. I mean, you competed well. You really, really did. And who'd have thought that, you set up your garage to be a town crier and holding out your scroll and you're telling all the kids. I mean, you were great. You really, really were. All right, then who's our next question? Or who has our next question?
I do, Tim.
Yes, Sandra, please.
You've accomplished a lot in life, and I find that when I am happy with what I get done in a day, I like to have a reward system. Mine happens to involve some chocolate. How do you mark success and reward yourself?
Sandra, I was thinking the same thing. Chocolate. Chocolate's always been a wonderful reward. In fact, I brought some for after this. I was going to reward myself with some caramel chocolates from Trader Joe's. They're little hearts. Oh, delicious. But also, I look at it as, okay, this is going to help my kids. And that is just the most rewarding thing to know, okay, I'm going to be a good example for them. Or, hey, I didn't do so well, and I actually watched this whole season on Netflix. That's not a good example, but they're still learning from me either way. But shopping helps and chocolate helps for sure.
Couldn't hear you.
Can I ask one more question?
Please, yes, we have plenty of time.
It seems to me as if you live a calendar-driven life. how do you keep track of what has to get done? How do you plan what you're going to do and not do?
I guess I feel like I have a lot of extra time. So if something comes up, I can add it to the schedule. But there are those things with, like right now, the kids' sports, those always are there so we can make sure that we're there for their games and drop them off at practice, and or making sure one of their friends can grab them from practice and I'll grab them on a different day. But the thing that I look at is kind of like what I was saying, is this worth the grain of sand? So if my family calls me, my sisters and brother, hey, we want to go eat on Sunday, is this worth a grain of sand? Definitely. So I always ask myself that, is this going to get me closer to my goals of what I'm wanting to achieve? Is this going to give me a richer life? Then I definitely will include that or find a way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, and that prioritizing, of course, boundaries and prioritizing is huge. Something I learned last year, and of course, I work for state government, and you don't always agree with how taxpayer dollars are spent. And I discovered, over a year ago now, that I don't get paid to be a Boy Scout. I have a specific job. And whenever I got that in my head, like you said, there's a behavioral change. And then suddenly when that freedom comes, like, having your wild print, setting aside that place, I mean, is it, say, is that discovery very personal, or is there a formula that you've seen through, looking at other people's behaviors or reacting to cultural patterns, that the wild print really changes people's lives? Does that make sense? That's a little convoluted. I started wrong, so.
Yes, I believe what you're asking is about the wild print, like of how you choose it or how you develop your own. And yes, it is when you see people and you feel that excitement of something that they're doing, like some artists, they see another artist and they're like, that's exactly what I want to do. Or comedians like Steve Harvey, who had no idea what a comedian was. He was just selling his jokes to one of the people. And then he decided to go to a comedy show and he's like, this is it. Sometimes you just get chills like, this is it. I would love to do that. No matter how scary, your mind kind of dreams of it first. And then your conscious mind comes in and says, oh, you can't do that. I don't think you'd be able to do that. And sometimes you find even those around you, when you tell them, that's absolutely crazy. You're going to do what? Your life is fine. What are you doing trying to do something different? But you just have to follow your heart. And I feel like your wild print has a lot to do with things that you're just passionate about. So since I was 20, I read every personal development book that I can get my hands on. I even studied courses. I couldn't stop. While everybody's playing games, I was terrible at games, which helped too. I was reading books and I absolutely loved it. And I read every personal development book that I can get my hands on, just because I can't stop, because that's ingrained in me, something that I love to do. So a lot of times your wild print is something that you absolutely love to do. And it ends up that it benefits others too, because you get to share your experience.
Okay, thank you. No, that's talk, because passion, just the word, finding that passion, that kind of stuck in my head. So, all right, and I'll let other people speak here in a second, but you specified your Napoleon Hill experiences. Tell us a little bit about that and how you came to that.
Yes, Napoleon Hill was one of the first personal development people of all times. He wrote the best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich. So I thought that there's a lot of the other personal development speakers and writers all base their things on him. So I figured if I can learn from him, and there's a foundation called the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and they actually have a certification that you go through so many courses and take a lot of tests, and you actually do like a project as well, which I ended up writing a book with my girls about dreaming big, where they drew the illustrations and I wrote the little kids book, and that was our project. And they loved it and they learned from it too, and learned the principles as well. But by going through all of that, not only would I be able to teach it, but I would further ingrain it into my mind so that I could learn it as well. Because I feel like whatever I'm reading at the time, that's exactly the things that I need to get to that next level.
So in a way, that's one level Wildprint there, I guess.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
that makes sense. All right, let's see. Is Jamil, you've been doing a lot of Wildprint kind of things by service to the community, and then looking at a congressional run. Can you? Is there anything from what Sherman's been saying that could apply directly to what you've been working on lately?
Oh, absolutely, without question. A central theme of that speech, at least to me, is that it all started with simply believing yourself. Whether you know exactly what you want to do, you're going to need that drive. You're going to need the knowledge that you have the potential to achieve it, that you have the potential to achieve something. And that is relevant to me because I am a jack of all trades, and I always have been. I jump into things pretty haphazardly, but I give my all to them because I know that I have the potential to be someone who can make the world a better place. So, of course, I enjoy any speech that exemplifies just how much one's own spirit plays in them getting that big break. You're going to need to work hard, you're going to need to have faith, and you're going to need a little bit of luck to actually make it over. But hey, if you got those first two steps, then you're already in a good place. And above all else, I love the fact that she was able to share her story, what she's grateful for, all the things that life has brought her, and of course, share that wonderful and important, but admittedly understated message.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jamel, because I know you're in the middle of it too, and he's doing great things. So, Warren, do you have any questions for our speaker? You've been really quiet.
Sharon, nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
I'm guilty of this. I spend way too much time on my phone, my social media, my iPad. Sometimes it's productive, sometimes it's not. How do you try? Okay, sometimes you're just going to, but how do you control that activity? But if you're going to be on there, how do you make it productive?
That is a great question, and one that I am learning as well, because I do give myself time to check the phone, but I'll usually only do it 2 times in the day. So one around lunch and then one around dinner after the kids have gone to bed. So by limiting that, otherwise I could be on that thing all the time, especially watching those baby monkeys. Oh my goodness. And then sometimes when I post, all of a sudden I find myself scrolling for a half hour. So I have to really focus and post and then get off of it. Otherwise, I'll be on for a long time. So it's definitely a learning curve for me as well. But I find that doing just those 2 times makes a big difference.
Thank you, Sharon. Great to hear your time.
So now that brings up another question here. So, I'm sure with your girls being their age, and of course my children are grown as well, that everything is about long-term, like live sessions and things like that on social media. There's places for, to make money. There's things to get word out and what have you. And honestly, it's amazing just how much time, like you've been talking to us about tonight, how much time is eaten up just by actually looking at a screen, and they're interacting with people from wherever they might be, sometimes saying the same thing over and over and over again. And that's now a cultural thing amongst, of course, like my kids range from 30 to 21. And you've got the younger ones. I think you said the oldest one is 12.
Correct.
Right. So you're the mom that's got to look at all this stuff. It's like, what are some of the practices that you've been doing in this world where everyone is looking at the screens all the time, and it's part of culture now. It's not anything that you can really avoid, and taking phones away and sometimes is harder than ever, especially when it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, whatever. Like right now, we're doing a live right now on Facebook. So I mean, we're contributing to not necessarily the problem, but at the same time, how do you keep from overwhelming all the good things that you want to do?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good question. I find too that if I'm on my phone and learning something, then I look at it like it doesn't really count because you're learning something. So if you're watching a seminar, if you're watching a talk, if you're watching something that's actually going to improve your life or personal development, then I feel like that's okay. If you're just scrolling, watching random people play with slime, which my kids like to do, there's a limit. So with our girls, we didn't allow them phones until last year, which everybody else, their cousins, their friends, everybody has phones and they're on them all the time. Well, we're trying to avoid that, even though they love them. They're so addicted. That dopamine hit is just so addictive. But if we can get them away from them and have a limit, then I'm hoping that maybe later as they grow up and they're on their own, making their own choices, that they choose, okay, let me go do something in life instead, and let me do something in real life instead of on the phone. You just can only hope, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's hard. I mean, we did the same thing with my kids. 11, 11 was pretty much was that, and we did not. I mean, they're always looking at our phone, stuff like that. So, that the magic 11, 12, that year is huge, and because they're in middle school, that's even crazier. And because middle school, sixth, seventh, eighth is such wonderful, terrible times for it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy. It's just hard because it's crazy. It really, really is. Well, all right then. So let's see. We're getting into the last 10 minutes here. So Charmin, tell us what some of the things that you've got going coming in 2026. Things that apply to your wild print.
Yes, I have a book that'll hopefully be coming out in the next month
Oh,
or two. I'm just finishing up some edits, but it's called The Wildly Rich. I keep saying I think it's because I know there's Toastmasters around. Don't ding me. But
there's no
it's
eye
called
counter here today.
yeah, it's called The Wildly Rich Life, and I'm hoping it'll be out in the next couple months. So it's called The Wildly Rich Life Uncaged. So basically how to break through all those limiting beliefs and like steps and a guide to what you can do to make your life better. So I'm hoping that helps somebody out there. And just sticking with my Toastmasters group, I think makes such a huge difference because
Hmm.
even as the years go on, you still learn different techniques or different ways to tell a story that makes it hit home more. So I think that's really important to stick with that. And then my girls are ready to come to all the meetings and stuff with me, but
Good.
I don't think they're ready for them. So we'll wait
That's
till they're a little bit older and then we'll allow them to come in too, because
well,
they just
table
love being.
topics. You can do table topics all day long with kids. So yeah.
Yes. It's a great
No,
idea.
no, that's wonderful. Definitely, because I mean, I've yet to get. I've had one child to show up, and she was so mortified, and shy. That got back with the other three. Nope, ended that. So, all right then. So we're down to the last couple of questions, and we'll be ending this session. So who's our next the penultimate question for the session? Anyone? Sandra, Warren, Leslie, Linda, Jackie?
I'll take one.
Yes, go ahead, Jamel.
See, somebody's got to ask a very general question. A lot of these questions have been very specific, so I'm going to ask something very out off topic. How did you feel when you held your first baby for the first time?
That is a great question because I could still relive it. When I held her for the first time, so the first couple days they didn't let me hold her because she was hooked up to so much stuff. So when I was finally able to hold her, it's just pure joy. I didn't want to put her down. And I'd still hold her now, but she's too big. So I would love to stick them in a carrier and walk around with these kiddos every day. But it was just, it's like they say, it's your heart outside of your body. And that was the only thing that mattered. Just looking at that little precious daughter is amazing. Yeah, best feeling ever.
Yeah, your life definitely changes.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely completely changes. You will never be the same again after having that baby.
It's true.
Doesn't matter if you're a father or a mother. It's just kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Linda.
You mentioned your life is your message. I think that is very, very true. And sometimes we don't realize the message our life is sending to our family and friends and associates. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So now, how long have you been a chiropractor?
This will be our 26th year.
You've been a chiropractor? The practice. The practice is 26 years.
No, I will have been a chiropractor for 26 years this year.
No kidding. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Are there any things with your practice that you'd like to promote? I mean, it's going to be on Facebook and what have you to talk about that. Is there any specific procedures or anything that you and your husband promote for greater healing, you know?
Yeah, we actually are certified pediatric and prenatal and family chiropractors.
Okay.
So yeah, we like to adjust them if there's issues from birth. Sometimes they get pinching or issues in their neck and their bodies won't grow and develop perfectly or like how they should. So if we could do a gentle adjustment at that age on up, it can prevent so many future diseases and problems. So that's what we love to do, is work on the kiddos, of course, and ours as well.
Well, yeah, and growing up, I mean, I cannot imagine. Well, of course, we have nurses in our family, and I cannot imagine, what it'd be like to have chiropractors in the family. It's like going, you're a little off. You come here.
Yeah. Yes, at Christmas.
You need a little traction.
Yeah, exactly. At Christmas, we have a table so everybody gets adjusted at Christmas and wherever we are. My brother-in-law's a chiropractor, so if we go out of town to Chicago, everybody gets adjusted there. I adjust my parents every week, and there's a table there. So we just do a lot of adjusting. It's just what we do. Everybody, keep everybody healthy.
It's necessary. It's like, come on over. Yeah, here you go.
Yes.
Go in, lay down, just give yourself a second. Hook yourself up to your tens. You're okay.
Bad attitude. We'll adjust that too. No.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Because a friend of mine, one of my mentors in my home club, Karen Cup, she always talked about how applicable Toastmasters was at different levels of communication in your life and project planning and all. And I know that it's impacted your development of your Wildprint, and I'm looking at some other certifications that's similar to that. But I as a last question, because we're about to run out of time, how do you think culturally your Wildprint concept, how applicable is that with different cultures? I mean, living in metropolitan area, you see everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter who you are. If you find that thing you're passionate about, or that thing that you love, that thing that you were put here to do, that changes everything. There's so many people wandering around hating life, hating what they're doing. And if they just found that calling again, or was still enough to listen to that voice within, it would change the world. We'd have so many people that are happier, living better lives, helping others, helping themselves, just happier people.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. And then coming from your perspective, and you come from a place of healing too.
Mm.
So I know, behavioral and healing, it's all meshed there. So, well, all right then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of session 10, and let's give our speaker another round of applause. Thank you so much, Charmin,
Thank you. Appreciate you.
for being our speaker. And in February, I'm going to go ahead and share something here where everyone can see it. This is our next speaker. Our next month is going to be the owner and chef of Maria's Sauce Company. She's going to be talking about making yourself uncomfortable and doing the damn thing. She's a lady that I follow on TikTok. She's very dynamic. She's all about the sauce, and I hope that I'll have probably some little things I'll show as a display, but she'll be our next speaker, and please tell other people, tell your clubs. I have spaces that are open for this, for pathways projects, for anything they want to talk about. This is a place where you can come and talk about what you love. And so again, thank you so much for this, Charmin. Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate you. And Charmin, once I get the edited video out on Facebook, I'll make sure that I share it with you so you can use it for whatever you need to as far as your presentation purposes.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Tim.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you too. All right, guys. Have a great night. One round of applause for our speaker. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.